Welcome to the Chess Channel, the chess channel that teaches you how to do things. Did you know the Chess Channel? This chess channel is the only one in the world without a single dislike. This is true, but let us not curse it, and keep things that way. Many mind sports are hard. The game of chess requires plenty of work and way too much study. If you want to excel, you must put in the work. Playing the game is one thing, but how many of us really know all the rules of chess? Even the very experts fall short, and they do so on a regular basis. Some promote to a brand new piece in the wrong way, some castle using both hands, and some try to win in an endgame when they do not have sufficient material. In some cases, some grandmasters had resigned in a handful of moves right after the game started. Former world champion Vishy Anand resigned in a game of only 6 moves. In a very recent game, former world champion Garry Kasparov resigned his game against the uprising star Jordan van Foreest, again in 6 moves. Things went horribly wrong for him in the opening. There are too many instances to mention when it comes to messing things up. Today's topic is about the one and only superstar Wesley So. He too fell short in his game against Akopyan back in 2015 during the US Chess Championship that was played in Missouri. In case we forget, this was their game of round 9. Before we are able to tap into this game, this picture is the first to view. Here, Akopyan is discussing the reasons for Wesley allegedly resigning. It transpired Wesley So did not resign but forfeited his game against Akopyan. So what actually happened was this. Wesley So broke one of the rules and ended up losing the game, an extremely short game. This is not the first time Wesley violated the rules, but this is the first time he gets to pay for this fault. What did he do? He was found scribbling notes on his scoresheet, and since the rules are clear as to what you can and can't do when it comes to the scoresheet, this was reason enough for Wesley to forfeit his round 9 game. We should not forget, Wesley was warned previously, but with him choosing to ignore this warning, he still went on to do what he did. So what exactly did Wesley do to cost him the game? In this picture, Grandmaster Maurice Ashley invites the chief arbiter, Tony Rich, to explain what exactly Wesley So did. What you see here is the position at which Wesley forfeits. It was on move 6. Can we add the details of this venue? We don't see why not, and here they are at the bottom of this picture. Tony, the chief arbiter, explains Akopyan alerted him about Wesley scribbling away, and with him being distracted, he had no choice but to bring this to the arbiter's attention. If you check the FIDE laws of chess, you will note there are 25 pages, which encompass 14 different articles that refer to classical games. Pages 17 to the end deal with rapid and blitz setups, algebraic notations, and if you check out page 22, you will find some rules on how to castle when you are looking at a Fischer random or 960 game. For simplicity reasons, we have taken the liberty to copy and paste the section relative to where Wesley breaks the rules. If you wish to read the whole page, maybe it would be best to pause. If you want to find the part that is relative to what we are looking at, you only need to read this part on 12.4 and maybe 12.6, because in this case, Akopyan used subsection 12.6 as he felt he had been distracted by his opponent, in this case Wesley, and this was the end of their game of round 9. Tony Rich relays in his explanation to Maurice Ashley to the general public that Wesley was not noting anything relating to chess. When Wesley got confronted by Mr. Rich, he was shocked to hear of his decision to forfeit him. If pictures could speak 1,000 words, this would be one picture to say it all. Before the game started, Wesley was very eager to meet Akopyan. In this picture, he is one of the very first to take his seat at the table. Soon after, Akopyan joined the table, and this is the moment where it all happened. The game had already stopped at this point. In this picture, Tony Rich is confronting Wesley, and from Wesley's facing expression, you can imagine how he already feels. A few moments after, it was all over. 12 Grandmasters were competing in the US Chess Championship at the time, and the standings prior to this round starting were as you see them here. Hikaru Nakamura was in the lead with 6 points. Robson was in second position, and Wesley was right behind them with 4.5 points along with 2 others. So this loss for Wesley was significant in many ways. The FIDE laws of chess are changing with the times. Before, you were allowed to write down the move before you made it, and commit to it after you double-checked it. Later on, these rules had changed. Today, you are not allowed to write anything on your score sheet unless you first play the move. In his interview with Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, Akopian explains that he and Wesley are very close friends. They both played on the same team and both were coached by the same group of people. Akopian also explains he too was shocked about Wesley's behavior to ignore the rules, but with Wesley now being a third-time offender, Mr. Tony Rich's decision to disqualify Wesley was to stand. So at what point had this incident become a real issue? It was here at this point, with Wesley writing down a few minimum personal notes. It was all down to these 1, 2, 3, 4 words, which distracted Akopian, and this was how Wesley lost his game of round 9. There is another rare picture we can use to show the moment where Akopian is just about to stand up to reach the arbiter of the venue. Something unbeknown to many is that Varuzan Akopian was part of the appeals committee in case Wesley was going to appeal Tony's decision, but because this incident did involve Akopian himself, he was not going to be part of how the appeals committee was going to rule. The final point we would like to make is the top part of the score sheet that involves all the moves that took part in this game of round 9. Wesley So White started with a d4 opening. Akopian answered with e6. The game continued with c4. And right after this move to d5, Wesley chose to develop his queenside knight. Akopian without delay opted for his favorite Tarrasch approach to the game. Wesley took. Akopian also took, and with Wesley developing his other knight, Akopian here also develops his queenside knight. Right after Wesley eliminated this pawn from c5, Akopian noted Wesley scribbling away notes on his actual score sheet. He then approached the arbiter, and the arbiter was forced to end the game by making the decision to forfeit Wesley So, a player at the time standing in the top 10 best chess players in the world. We had seen Akopian sitting on the other side of the board when the final position was reached. Wesley right before his move to remove the pawn on c5 was captured here in this photo, but who could ever imagine what was about to unfold? When Wesley attempted to defend himself, this is what he said. I have been having trouble concentrating, so I wrote a note to myself on a piece of paper, not my score sheet. This is the very first time a player of such caliber has been caught out in this way. Other players, including former world champions, also were wrong by picking up their pieces, placing them on a square, and then retracting their move. In one instance, our current world champion also picked up a piece and then he attempted to move another piece on the board. In short, there is no shortage of how many errors are being made. Sometimes they get picked up and sometimes they pass without an incident. Wesley on this occasion was certainly affected by this incident, but how did this loss impact on his overall performance and standings? This is where Wesley ends. Given he won his last 2 games, his overall performance was pretty solid. If the game of round 9 ended in a decisive result in favor of Wesley, Wesley would have ended in joint second position. This unique incident had an irrecoverable impact on the friendship between Akopian and Wesley. Maybe, it is best to say, both Wesley and Acopian, who had been quite close, are no longer friends. And with this historic picture, this is how we would like to end today's video. For anyone who is watching, this has been our 6th video to date and certainly there is more to follow. We hope you enjoyed in the meantime, so until next time, take good care and God bless.